that question. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness, the tabletop RPG. It's coming back. It's coming back.
Somewhere over here, I've got my original copy.
I have one. Oh yeah, in my library.
Yeah.
Palladium Books is currently running a Kickstarter for a redone version of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and Other Strangeness. That is based on. So, for those that don't know, the original Eastman and Laird comic books, which were not like the cartoons at all, was the IP that the original tabletop RPG was based on. Right? It's a very dark, cynical,
it's gritty, cynical. There was nudity in it.
There was
cigarettes, drug use.
The turtles smoked cigars and drank beer.
Yes.
Anyway,
which, I mean, come on, Michelangelo from the cartoons, totally a stoner. Let's be real about that.
Absolutely. So Palladium and somebody in the chat pointed out, yes, they've raised almost $800,000. They're at $792 right now to do a reprint of the original book in the Palladium style.
Can I actually just say, though, that I appreciate that they put their Kickstarter at a reasonable price for doing the books?
Mm-hmm.
Is their goal was $250,000, which to do a full reprint of the book, even in the soft cover version that they use and stuff, that Palladium is known for. We know firsthand how much it costs to do that. And so I was at least like, I was very glad that they didn't be like, oh, we only need like $10,000, wink. And then we're going to make it, kind of thing. But they actually set like a realistic goal that could have failed. But obviously enough of us nerds from back in the day remember what this whole property used to be before it became a cartoon that was wildly successful. But, it's an adult version of TMNT.
It's Palladium's Gonzo system, which is fine. It's runnable. It's a fun game. I played a lot of it back in the day. It needed a refresh. We are getting fresh art from Eastman and Laird.
Yep.
For the book. New covers. New everything. They've hit a lot of their stretch goals.
Yeah.
Is this do you recommend backing this one? Is this a Mallo certified?
I would probably say if you are a fan of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from a perspective and you want a more adult themed version of it, where Shredder is actually menacing, for instance, then yes, I would back it. Chat says there's also hardcover editions and stuff like that. For the art alone and what it's costing for the art, I think it's $100 for the core book, or $60 for like the variant cover. The art alone is enough if you just wanted an art book. You get an RPG along with it. And it's a lot more, and like the artwork from Eastman and Laird and stuff like that has always been, like, some of those comics go for hundreds of thousands of dollars, I think, on the resale market and stuff. So a lot of those things have been, they have that bit of nostalgia for it and stuff. And then, you could be cynical and call it in for a nostalgia push, but I think Palladium's been one of the more consistent, publishers, at least in our generation, of wanting to continue to put out content and stuff like that. So I think they are legitimately just going back and being like, people love this game. We're going to give them another edition. We're going to take another run at it and see where we can go.
Yeah. I think it's a great idea. Somebody asked if their business practices are better. It was never really their business practices. They came close to going into business because one of their employees had embezzled a lot of money from the company. Palladium has been around since the 80s. They're one of the oldest RPG companies. They are one of the very few what I consider true indies left.
Yeah.
That's managed to survive.
That's big enough to make a splash in the industry like this, I would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Somebody pointed out they did do the original Robotech tabletop RPG. They were the ones that brought Robotech the anime to America as a cartoon. I heard they were lawsuit happy. Not like TSR back in the 80s. Not like TSR back in the 80s. TSR back in the 80s was a little bonkers. So Art Historian's still around. Again, they've done a lot.
Yeah, Harmony Gold, not Palladium. Yeah. They continue to still put out Rift stuff, I think, right?
Yeah. Oh no, yeah, they
Yeah.
still do that.
You want to talk about Math the game? Well, actually, GURPS is worse, isn't it?
GURPS is
Steve
worse.
Jackson.
Yeah,
GURPS is worse from Steve Jackson games. But
Rifts,
Palladium is pretty close.
Rifts is just gonzo. It is the one system where I've ever played where I'm like, I tell people, I'm like, what would you like to play? What do you mean? Think of any concept you can imagine. There is a class for it, right? I am not exaggerating, which between races and occupations, there is over 100 classes in Rifts.
Yeah.
Robotech was funny because we used to say that there must have been gnomes inside of the Veritex, like building missiles, for them to carry the amount of missiles that they supposedly carried. You know, I wouldn't mind them re-releasing Robotech.
That could be good. I see a lot of times on Reddit and things like that, people looking for mech-based games that aren't Lancer. And every once in a while, I'll kind of slyly put in their Identico because we have mechs and things like that in our game. And they work very differently than a lot of them, and they're not Lancer. Which Lancer, I own a copy of it and stuff like that. It's a fantastic book, but it is a little bit of the crunch is real with that game. Let's put it that way.
Mm-hmm.
Chat says Phil explained Rift's lore with the Saw Gusto of Warhammer. I mean, it kind of has it. Yeah,
it does.
It's got so much into it that it's insane to try to keep up with the lore of Rifts.
Somebody in the chat saying, I want to play a sentient ninja shotgun wielding shoebox. I can build you that character class in Rifts. I already know what ones to use to make that character.
Yeah.
It's Rifts. It's Rifts. And TMNT is the same basic system, but it was SDC and no MDC, and it's all compatible with each other.
If you want to drop the Ninja Turtles into the middle of a Rift session, you can actually do that pretty easily.
Absolutely can. You absolutely can. So yeah, go check out their Kickstarter. If you love original Ninja Turtles, by the way, so this was one that I actually want to point out. Somebody was complaining with that new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. They were like, they made April O'Neil black. So I want you to go look at the original Eastman and Laird comics.
Yeah. They're pulling from the original text. From the old tomes.
Do you know what race April O'Neil was? She was black.
Yeah.
Go look in the book.
Yeah. She turned white and redhead because TV in the 80s.
There you go.
We could get into all of that, standards of beauty in television and stuff like that in another show.
Yep.